If you're looking to sell in the next 12 months, don't miss this video. We're going to be talking about mistakes that sellers make when selling their home. Not when working with me though. The number one biggest mistake that sellers make is overpricing their home. You really need to make sure that you're not pricing yourself out of the market. It could cost your property to go stale on the market, and then buyers start wondering what's wrong with their property. And even if there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with your property, but you just priced it a little bit too high, it leaves uncertainty. And so you really don't want your property to go stale. In addition to that, you don't want to underprice it because then you're leaving money on the table. So getting with a realtor who's local expert in your market, they'll give you a market report, they'll compare your property to closed comps, pending comps, and active comps that are like yours, apples to apples for your home, so you can determine an exact price. And that will be your best bet in securing a buyer for your home. The second biggest mistake that sellers make is not preparing their home for the market. They decide that they're ready to sell, but they don't take the time to declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean. And this is going to cost them in the end. Mostly it's going to cost them money, but it will also cost them time. So making sure you get a list from your realtor of exactly what you need to do to prepare your home for market, and then follow the list. And make sure that you're shining your property as bright as possible. The third biggest mistake that a seller makes is having their emotions be involved, especially people who lived in home for several years. You know, their children grew up here, they remember, you know, what the dent in the walls from and everything like that. And then they get an offer on their property and they get insulted, or they didn't like, because they were watching on the cameras, what that buyer said about that they're going to repaint the house. And so they're just using their emotions on basing a financial decision. And so really sellers just need to take a step back and realize that this is going to be somebody else's home. So just look at it from a numeric standpoint and make sure that you understand that when a buyer buys your home, they're going to do changes to it because now it's their home. And not to get offended if someone gives you a low offer. You always want, if someone's making an offer on your property, they want to buy it. So even if it's not what you're looking for, have your realtor counter what's acceptable to you, because you don't want to have those emotions that you're having deter that buyer completely, because they do want to buy your home. Maybe they just don't see the value the same way that you see the value. The next biggest mistake that sellers make is when it comes to repairs and thinking they can do it themselves. So when you are a seller and a buyer has requested repairs and they are saying they want it done by a contractor, there's a reason they're asking for it to be done by a contractor. And you don't want to try to save a few pennies here and a few pennies there so that you can do it yourself, because a buyer's going to have a re-inspection and that inspector is going to call out if it's not done properly. So make sure you let experts handle it from here on out, and make sure that you're not trying to skimp on taking shortcuts and different things like that, because it generally in the end ends up biting you. You're gonna have to pay for another re-inspection. You're gonna have to pay for a contractor to come back out there and fix the mistake that you made. So just make sure you use a contractor who's licensed, bonded, and insured, and don't try to skip around corners. The next biggest mistake that home sellers make, I got a frog in my throat apparently. Okay. The next biggest mistake that home sellers make is not preparing for the closing costs of selling a home. So when you're negotiating the structure of your sale, you want to make sure that your realtor is providing you a seller net sheet and taking in consideration all the costs in selling a home, whether it be commission, title fees, recording fees, repairs, well and septic. There is a bunch of fees that go into that. Another fee that not commonly looked at until the title report comes is if there's any tax liens, any property liens, or any child support. And so you really want to make sure that you take in consideration all of these fees and make sure you have enough equity to cover them and walk away with whatever money you're looking to walk away with. This just happened recently to me where my seller forgot to tell me that the child support wasn't paid off completely, and we were kind of at a bare minimum when it came to the proceeds that were being, and we almost lost the sale because he couldn't close due to the child support, and he had to take a loan from his IRA so that he could pay off the child support in order to close on this home. Now, if we would have factored in all of these numbers to begin with, then it wouldn't have been such a surprise the day before we're supposed to be closing, and now we're trying to scramble to make sure that all of this aligns. So just make sure you're completely upfront with your realtor about any kind of liens or fees that might be out there that are hidden that we don't know about, so that we can include them in our net sheet and make sure that you're being taken care of. Last but certainly not least, and I would say the number one biggest mistake that sellers make when putting their home on the market is not hiring the right realtor to help them. And so you really want to make sure that you're compatible with them personality-wise, but also that they're the right person for the job. Interview them. There's questions that you can get online to know what to ask a realtor. I would say number one questions are, how many homes have you sold recently? What are you going to do to market my home? And how are you going to help structure my sale? You want to make sure that they are professional and that they know what they're doing. And so they're going to help you by hiring a professional photography. So maybe you should ask them that. Ask them if they're going to hire someone professional in order to do that, or if they're going to take iPhone photos, because you want to know that up front. Ask them what their commission is and what they're going to be charging you, because you want to know that up front. Ask them if they're going to help prepare your home for the market. Or do they have a list of items that you can do? Ask them if they have any assistants or marketing directors or transaction coordinators that are going to help facilitate the whole deal, so that you're not worried that any balls being dropped along the lines, and there's a lot of moving parts. You can ask if they have any relationship with lenders or titles or home inspectors or repair guys in order to help you with those contacts, so you're not having to facilitate all of that by yourself. And so I would say that's the number one thing, is people don't interview for a realtor. They just heard an ad, or maybe someone referred them, or maybe they saw something tagged online or something of the sort like that, and then they just select that person and they don't ever get to know them. And so just make sure that you're hiring them for a job and that you're interviewing them in the appropriate way. I hope you found this video valuable and that it's going to help you not make one or more of these mistakes yourself. So if you did and you'd like to chat with me more and get to know me or interview me for selling your home, I'd love to get together with you. Click the link below to book an appointment.